Oh, hello and welcome to another episode of Half Cut Cricket. I'm Munners. This is Tim. We're Dealt With Cricket, and this is where we handle questions that you've sent in and asked us in comment sections. And today, Tim, we're going to get through two, and they're two big, very juicy bites.
Two for the price of one.
Oh, I'm excited. So, first things first, Chris from Dartmouth. Now, for those of you who haven't been to Dartmouth, there's not much happening. So,
Isn't there a prison?
yes, and there's a crossing.
Yeah.
And he sent in a question via email. And it's weird, actually, because our email is only listed on one place, and that's underneath our TikTok handle. And it exclusively says for business. So I'll be honest, mate, you're taking the piss a little bit. But there you go. And he's asked, what is your favourite cricket tea? What's your favourite items at cricket tea, Tim?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, Chris from Dartmouth.
Fucking good question.
Yeah.
My favourite cricket tea? Are we talking like proper club cricket, 3 o'clock in the afternoon tea? Yeah. Well, I'm a massive fan of porky treats tea, personally.
Can you list your favourite porky treats?
My favourite porky treats are is a Melton Mowbray pork pie.
Yeah.
A sausage roll.
They always cut the pork pies into quarters.
Just give us a whole pork pie.
Give us a whole pork pie.
I'm eating a pork pie.
Yeah.
Give me a whole one.
I don't know who and what your tea lady is called. It might be a tea gentleman. It might be you who does your club's teas. But that is a serious message. Leave the pork pies whole.
Yeah, give us full pork pies.
Feels like short change, and you're always going to have to go back for seconds.
Yeah. And you know when the plates aren't big enough either, when you're getting like the tea plates, what are they called? Tea plates?
Yeah.
Teacup?
No, well, they're not cups.
No, what's it called?
They're smaller dishes.
It's called something, isn't it?
It's called a plate.
It's called a little plate that you put your cup of tea on.
Oh, saucer.
Saucer. There's another word for it. I don't think I used saucer. Well, I obviously don't use anything. Yeah. But when they only give you the little one, and you're like, well, I've just done 50 overs chasing leather, pal.
Yeah, especially when you're bowling.
Go and get the fucking big one.
Yeah.
Turn up like Alan Partridge, with a fucking... I might start turning up with my own plate.
An important note on porky treats.
Yeah.
And this is important, by the way. Have a halal selection. Don't just have porky treats.
Yep.
But if you are going to serve porky treats, for God's sake, make sure they're hot if they're meant to be hot. I don't want a cold sausage. You know when the fat has just congealed a little bit?
No, see, I'm going to disagree with you here. I love a cold sausage roll. I'd rather a cold one over a hot one.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Well, you go to Greg's and take... Because that's your option in Greg's. You can have a hot one or a cold one.
Well, no, I don't actually get sausage rolls from Greg's. I'm more of a steak bake man, but I think I'd rather...
Cheese and bacon turnover.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that good? Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, your mum's to go. But no, I think, like a one from a bit of a deli, slightly posh, or from like a bakery or somewhere like that. Yeah. It was one of them like cold one.
Big load of sausage meat in the middle.
What are you doing with your hands there?
Just showing you where the sausage is, mate.
But yeah, so pork pie, sausage roll. I love a
Come on, England, give us a go.
The little cocktail sausages.
Chipolatas.
Absolute belters.
And also that they can be hot. They can be hot as well. Because this is something that excites me. So pork products, fair enough.
So we've moved on. That's what I think is essential for my tea.
Yeah.
Talk us through yours.
Fair folks. For me, first and foremost, I really want a very good basic sandwich. I'm sorry to be boring you there, Tim.
No.
Just looking at the glass.
It's a nice glass.
I want a really good cheese and pickle sandwich. I want a really good tuna sweet corn sandwich. I want it on thick white bread, and I want it now. Cut in triangles, because I'll be honest, if you're a tea person making tea, and you're cutting them in squares or rectangles, I don't think there's... Look, I think there's a police investigation out over you because there's something clearly wrong there. Triangles only, please.
Yeah. How many little triangles do you pick up?
Well, like you say, it's on the smaller plates. So what I try and do to make myself feel better about my overeating at tea is I'll often go up, and even if you're the home side and you have to eat 12th, well, maybe 13th because you let an umpire go before you, or there's always one umpire who's having a rolly cigarette, so he's not quite in yet. And by the way, there's some cricket clubs where that's gone out the window and people aren't waiting anymore.
Yeah, that's a bit immoral. And sometimes speckies go before you. I've been at clubs where that's happening. You're like, hang about, man.
But that's just people who don't understand the game.
I've just been chasing leather for 50 overs.
As we well know. As we well know.
Every week I'm chasing fucking leather.
So, sometimes you have to wait till 13th. And what I do is I always make sure I'm first or second. I also always make sure I hand plates backwards. So it looks like, oh yeah, he has gone first, but he's a nice guy. He's also handing plates backwards in the queue.
That's a good tactic.
What a club man. So then I'll probably get enough so that it looks like a lot, but he's not taking the piss. Maybe a 3-layer. And then one tuck next to it. So we've now got 4 sandwiches, a couple of party rings on the left-hand side. Okay. Party rings are key, maybe pink wafers. I don't mind, whatever your preference is. And then, let's say there's a couple of hot dishes. Sometimes you have a tea where someone does chips, maybe does a bit of pasta. The real technique here, and this is where the real load up on the plate comes, because you've got this tiny plate. This is where you need to use your sandwich structure to push the more carby, hotter food against.
Okay.
And then around the outside of this, you want to put your grapes, your melon slices,
all right,
your orange slices, and that way, when you're sitting down, they go, Jesus, Munners, look at the health on that plate. He's only gone for sandwiches and a few bits of fruit, but secretly, right in the middle, I've got a shitload of chips and a shitload of penne pasta.
And porky treats.
Of course. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with tea. And then once I've had that, what I'll do is maybe go and give my plate back to the tea lady, but go back up to the counter and then just start picking. And if there's something that can go in my pocket for later, it's going in my pocket for later. And that's really how I load up on tea.
Yeah.
And make it look like I've not had that much.
Fair enough. I was going to ask about sweet treats, but you seem to have nailed that as well. So You're saying sandwiches, penne pasta, melon, orange chips, pink wafers and party rings.
Yeah.
Anything else we're missing up there?
If you can get a hot chicken in there, hot chicken's sometimes really nice. If you're lucky enough to have played a few games in a league where they do lunch and tea, I think it's really interesting what can happen.
The hot food
at lunch.
Yeah. For me, like the hot one, when you have lunch, give me a lasagna. Love a lasagna.
Oh, fuck.
Even tea, actually.
Oh,
I know tea's meant to be, traditionally, your sandwiches and your cakes and stuff like that, and your mini rolls, but I'd be well happy with a lasagna.
Listen, with global warming and the way that these summers are going, we had a 40-degree day this summer. Probably the last thing you want is to be scalding your mouth on a lasagna.
I'd still give it a go.
But there you go. Lasagna great. But again, your pasta dish is fine. Cottage pie.
No.
Probably not up there for me.
No. What absolutely should not be there at tea?
What shouldn't be there? I don't know. That's a really good question. But you know me, Tim. I'm going to eat pretty much anything and everything that's on offer. I've never seen sushi at tea. I think that would feel weird in like a 30-degree day, and you come inside and there's just sort of some sashimi sitting on the side. I wouldn't want to see that. I also
imagine the state of your cream.
Yeah.
what would match fees be if you're having fucking shit? Can't even say it. Sashimi.
All the boys from Richmond, Teddington, and Hampstead. So I also think make sure your bread's fresh, because there's been times where I've had wholemeal bread and it just, when it's kind of started to crumble a little bit. And also, cup games, it's not acceptable to just put out leftovers from tea on Saturday. Not unless you're only just topping up what would already be a normal size tea. I don't want to be eating what you prepped the day before. because match fees are the same in cup cricket, and God knows cup cricket upsets me more than league cricket sometimes.
Waste of time.
Yeah. Probably covered teas quite well there.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I do love me teas.
by all means, do keep corresponding with us, but only use our business line if it's
For business.
for business, because we are
Business people.
very serious business people. So the second question.
He's joking. Honestly, email it.
Email us, that's fine. I'm very lonely and would love the correspondence. So our next one was actually come from a lady.
A lady.
And we don't.
I didn't know we had any.
No, we don't. This is the thing. We do have not only just blokes. We have ladies who follow us. This comes from an Emma, and you can tell she's well.
Where's Emma from?
She's from Teddington.
Teddington.
Yes. Now I don't know why she was so geographically specific. She could have just said London.
West London.
Yeah. Leafy, lovely area, great for coffee. Anyway. And a lovely cricket club as well, so well done, Teddington. But the
You don't sound bitter about that.
And she asks, because obviously she's in a well-learned part of the country, and indeed London. She asks, "What's your favourite cricket documentary?"
Don't be taking the piss out of Emma's accent.
Sorry,
mate.
sorry.
You can't be doing that.
I don't know. All
Do
right.
you want to apologise to Emma for taking the piss out of her accent?
I'm really sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
Stop it.
Right, Emma, I'm sorry. All right.
We're not going to have any posh fans in here.
Yeah, please carry on. Look, I'm wearing a fake signet ring.
And we need the posh people.
Yeah. Anyway,
how else is an insurance broker going to?
hey, we're all cricket fans. Everyone, all of us. And look, great question. What is your favourite cricket documentary tip?
Stop doing fucking accent. Oh my god. I love The Edge, actually. Yeah. Absolutely superb. I think because it was such a successful England team, and an England team that I wouldn't say they resonated with me as much as like 2005 or even this current crop, but they were successful and amazing, and they were where you wanted to be, and they were the number one in the world. So that insight into that was fascinating, and there was some legends in there that I love, like Graham Swan. And I thought it actually really resonated with me as a club cricketer, with a lot of things, particularly like Jonathan Trott's his dialogue before he goes out to bat, and how he just hated playing cricket at that time. And I think we've all probably been through that, I would say. Yeah. So that's one that I loved, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
No, it's actually a really beautiful film, isn't it? In a lot of parts. And like I say, no, it's a nice film, isn't it? It's a nice film. But for me, and this comes from a very, very sort of warm place in my heart, my favourite film, and it's partly because I used to get very, very drunk at university and come back to a dear friend's house and watch Fire in Babylon. And it is a film about the dominant West Indies side led by Clive Lloyd, and the music, the little bits to camera of West Indian greats talking about basically wanting to rip bloke's head off with a cricket ball bowling 150 miles an hour is just some of the most compelling and lovely filmmaking I've ever seen. And I truly love that film so much. It's one of my go-tos to cheer me up.
There are some belters. I saw, really weirdly, I watched the Shane Warne one the day before he died, but I thought that was an absolute fucking belter. Have you ever seen the Mumbai Indians one?
Yeah, that's good.
That's brilliant. That's good. What have you made of the latest test?
I think they really are shoving it down our throat how lovely this Australian side are. I think Pat Cummins comes across like the nicest bloke in the world. So does Usman Khawaja. I think showing things like and leaving things in the edit, like David Warner offering to do people's laundry, is kind of doing it a bit too much, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's, hey, any boys want some laundry doing? David.
He's a fucking good player.
He's a fucking great player. Yeah. Also, just a quick note on Fire in Babylon again.
Oh, you're going back?
Music.
Yeah.
Music in there is just awesome, and there's even a Bunny Wailer appearance and he yelled from, as in Bob Marley and the Wailers,
Mhm.
and him yelling at a dog while doing an interview is one of the wonderful things. I'm not going to do any impressions. I'm just going to tell you, go and watch it because it's wonderful. I don't want to ruin it for people. But yeah, the test series too. Bayek Amazon have gone hard on socials about it, and I think if you were Australian, you'd probably watch it and be happy and enjoy it. If you're English, it's a tough watch because we are rubbish for huge.
They do so well in the first 2 episodes of making the Ashes series look like it was remotely competitive.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't. They've made like England maybe clawing back a session, getting 3 wickets in the session, look like we won a game.
And it wasn't that.
And it wasn't. It was tragic. It was terrible. But I think it's a bit dry and dull, this series. I think the series before was really good.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably because of the access they had with Langer. And also things going wrong and things not going right. But it seems to me like everything just goes quite smoothly for him. And that's not that interesting.
Shout out to the greatest scene in both series of the tests, which is obviously Justin Langer kicking over a bin and then having to pick up all the water bottles that he kicked over because he's showing he's such a nice guy. And not only that, Steve Smith having to read a room and understand that he has to be upset because Justin Langer's upset next to him. And you see him going, no, what a nightmare. As Langer's picking up what was off the floor. Wow. Some good blow-ups on this series of the test, though.
I'm only a few episodes in.
David Warner struggling to open a bottle of water after getting out. Bottle of water won, Davey. That's all I'll say. I think Steve Smith just sitting in a chair, rocking backwards and forwards, like yelling at himself. But we've all been there.
We have, haven't we? If there was one sort of cricket documentary that you'd love to be made, what would it be?
What a question. Why? What a question. I like real sort of... I like grassroots stuff, but I think what I would like is a kind of... And this is maybe going back a few years. I would have loved to have seen a kind of fly-on-the-wall county cricket 90s, early noughties documentary where these guys were... the biggest sponsorship deals were their local Ford dealership giving them a car. And it was just a lot less professional and a bit more... It would be like following around a BDO darts player. That's a level, and that's something that I'd love to have seen. But
it's a shame there's not been any of that. There was a few, wasn't there, in football? Like there's the Neil Warnock and Sheffield United and Huddersfield ones, and they have some absolute gold in them, don't they?
Maybe we'd have to make a comedy one like Mike Bassett. Maybe that's the way.
Maybe is that what the people want?
Mike Bassett, cricket manager, whatever that would be.
It would just be Bumble, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, how good would that?
Oh
be?
Yeah, watching Bumble's England team or something like that because they didn't win a test ever, did they? They were shite.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So thanks to Chris in Dartmouth,
Emma
in Teddington, and I hope I haven't alienated you guys in any way. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Emma's probably not coming back, so sorry, Emma.
Yeah, but to everyone else who's still watching and listening, thanks for indulging us once more on Half Cut Cricket. Tim is still doing Dry January.
Even though it's February.
Even though this is released in February. And yeah, thanks again. Subscribe, like, appreciate you all. I really do, from the very bottom of my plums.